saying she with it.
Well, we are live now.
Oh, snap.
I should have done a little bit of like a, I don't know, on the screen, like a 3, 2, 1 or something, giving some warning. Some such, something or another. What's up, Casey, Mark, Ben, Desiree? Appreciate you guys being here. Let me fix my screen. Okay.
Where's that? Where do I see that?
It's on the YouTube.
Gotcha. Do I have a link for that?
You will.
You put it in the chat. Or in our chat. And I'll click.
Yeah, I'll put it in our chat.
Cool.
Give me a second. Let me do that on my computer. Oh, it's being a jerk. It won't let me. Rude. Can I send it to you on Instagram instead? Just because it's being, if I do it, it's going to come, my whole system is going to come up on the screen.
Yeah, that's cool. Send it on Instagram.
We got this. Welcome in, guys. I appreciate everybody
Teamwork.
being here. And let me like my own stream because, you know, that's how I roll.
Fuck yeah.
It counts. Dang it. What's up, Blindside? I see you. I see you, Rain. Okay, so we're going to get started. I just sent you the link. Usually people will mute the YouTube and then they'll just watch the chat if you want to do it on your computer or whatever.
Yeah, totally cool.
Are all of our sounds doing okay, chat? If you just let me know if something's weird or wonky or I'm echoing in my own ears, so that's fun. There we go. I'm so glad that you took the time. We've had this plan for a minute, for a good while, but you went on tour, so you weren't available.
I did go on tour, absolutely.
So, I mean, no, you didn't. You went on 2 tours.
Yeah, I went on 4 tours last year, and then you got me like in the middle of, 2 and 2. And definitely not my preference to have control over my scenario when I'm doing something like this. So yeah, happy to finally be home. I mean, I'm home for literally like I leave on Monday for pre-production for Rocked. Because I'm drum teching for Nothing More again, and Sahaj from Raw, which I guess I shouldn't just assume people know who I am. So I'm the drum tech for Nothing More, and I'm the drummer for Raw. They have the song Do You Call My Name, which you probably remember from early 2000s, and also have my own solo project, Fear of Water. So do all those simultaneously. And yeah, leaving for Shiprocked on Monday, doing like 3 days of pre-production practice in Tampa, and then we all drive across the state, head out to the open ocean for a week of shenanigans. Looking forward to it.
No, that's awesome. And I definitely know who Ra is, because this is a fun story that, doesn't mean anything now, but it did at the time. When I first met my ex-husband, the first song that he was bumping consistently in his vehicle, like all the time, was Ra.
Nice.
First time I'd ever heard them. I didn't know anything about them, but that one song, I love that song. And it was just funny that you mentioned it.
You're the preferred rock band of ex-husbands. That's an official stat. So.
Well, it's, to be completely honest, it's them or like Walk Away by Five Finger Death Punch. That one's fun.
All right. All
Kenzie, it does peak out a little bit sometimes, but I think we're rolling with it right now. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Your mic was peaking again just for a second there, but I'm trying to adjust some of the volume as I go.
Okay.
But we can understand you. That's a good thing.
Good. That's a huge plus.
See, right there, you echoed. Right there for some reason.
I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I guess we heard you twice. No, I appreciate everybody that's here.
I can switch my microphone to my internal microphone, but then I would need to like have the speakers on, and then we would get an echo because of that. So maybe not. Hold on.
Okay. Hey, we'll wing it. Go. Thank you, Desiree. That is definitely his YouTube channel. Check it out. Check out his music. He's got some good music out there. Definitely worth a follow.
Yeah, check out Fear of Water on Spotify, and then from social, like I am on YouTube, but like I'm very active on. We just got verified last year on Instagram, which is very exciting, and then Facebook as well. Let's try intern. How's that?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, I'm gonna move this microphone then.
That's a big microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, sound wise, no peaking or whatever.
Nope, perfect.
Cool, great, nailed it.
It's like what is that movie? It's like, am I coming in clear? No, but I noticed that you're verified. It's really fun story. I got like a little bit tipsy a week or so ago, and I tried to get verified just for fun. They shot me down because apparently they said that what I'm missing is that nobody's looking for me.
I suppose that's a pretty big detail.
Huge. Yeah. Apparently, people are supposed to want to find you and want to follow you and want to see your content, and nobody's doing that. So I got denied.
Yeah. So for me, it was like submitting links to Wikipedia pages that I'm linked to. So like I'm linked from the raw Wikipedia page. I submitted like album reviews from other publications, show reviews of like tours that I've done with Raw. I put links to like video or pictures that I'm in on Nothing More's verified social accounts. And I've also done some international podcasts. So like showing that like there's a link to me doing an interview in Australia. You know, so basically doing all those things combined.
Well,
Desiree has not heard my music. There's a really easy way to change that, and I suggest that you do it.
They should definitely do it. I mean, honestly, the thing is I try not to bring up people that I think their music sucks. So
that's a pretty good idea.
I mean, honestly, because I'm not going to sit here and there's a difference. If I bring you up as an artist, then I appreciate your art. I'm not going to bring you up here as an artist and be like, well, your music sucks, but you know, you're kind of a cool person. Like, I would just be like, hey, here's my friend so-and-so, and we would never talk about your music because we don't want to go there because I'm mean. I'm really mean. I'll be like, yeah, that really sucked. And I don't know why you did it that way, but okay.
Sure.
Like, I mean, so I'm that person that'll do that. So I don't ever want to bring somebody up just so that I can like trash what they've done. But I actually really like your music. And
cool. Appreciate that.
You play multiple instruments.
I do.
Which is always a good thing.
Yeah. Fear of Water is a one-man band type thing. And so I write, perform, and record everything that is Fear of Water. And then starting late last year, and then it's going to be a big focus for this year, is that instead of doing albums, I'm going to be releasing singles. And every single is going to be featuring a prominent musician from, I don't want to just say a popular band because it's like really specifically, I want to work with musicians that I really love, including maybe musicians that aren't prominent anymore. But like, so I'm a 90s rock kid at heart. So like the idea of working with some of my favorite lead singers from some of those bands, even if like no one is listening to Fuel anymore or something like that, the idea of working with Brett Scallions would be awesome because he's this incredible rock singer. So like I'm doing that balance. The most recent song that I released is with Marcos, the lead singer of El Nino, and Travis, the lead guitar player from Kill the Lights, which is half that band is ex-Bullet for My Valentine. So I'm super happy with how that turned out. I have a song in the works with Clint Lowry right now, which I'm like just elated about. Like, Seven Dust has been top 5 band for me my entire life, and Clint is definitely like, it's like if Dave Grohl and Trent Reznor are like 1 and 2 for me, Clint's top 5. So
right.
It's an absolute honor, and I'm super excited to release that, share that with the Seven Dust community. That's like such a tight knit family. Like I'm really excited to go on Shiprock because I know so many people from the Seven Dust world there. But then also just like I'm just really proud of how it's all coming together. I think people are gonna dig it.
No, that's awesome. I know who Seven Dust is, definitely. I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so. I mean, honestly, if you know who, there's a whole list of groups, you know, that kind of came out around the same time. Ben, you said you're getting crackling? I didn't hear any crackling. That's really weird. Is that on my side, or you're hearing it when I talk? Do not tell me that I'm having technical issues today. I am not here for that. I thought I had everything on point. Like, I have been just trying to elevate my game this year. Okay, they're saying it's your mic.
I just switched my mic, so I don't know what to do.
Oh, that sucks. Okay. Well, we'll kind of go with it, and we'll see how that goes. And I don't know if I can let me see if I can adjust some of these settings. Manipulate some stuff over here.
Yeah, I would imagine it's like your side, I'm like, because I'm going through the live stream.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. Who knows?
Yeah, it's probably the echo is what it's doing. It's echoing you when you're talking to, because it hears you and you're talking. So that's fun. That's why I love doing this stuff, because it's like, everybody does it on a different platform. Everybody tries to use a different format, and it's hard to try to make your equipment work.
Sure, sure.
You know,
It feels like he needs to clean the holes that he plugs in. Interesting. I just turned on my input volume by 50%. So let me know if that's good or bad.
are you guys still hearing it?
Check in one, two, check the mic.
Oh, okay, yeah, definite feedback.
I don't know what to tell you.
Well, is there any chance you could go back to that original mic? They could just, now that they realize how bad it could be, they could suck it up with the whole tiny feedback.
Sure.
Like, see, it wasn't that bad, was it? Y'all complained about something, it wasn't all that bad. Yeah, I just want them to be able to hear what you're saying, because you've got, obviously, you have so much experience with these different bands. Like, you have the interactions, you have the tours, you have all of this different stuff, and it's really cool to talk to somebody who just gets the opportunity and honestly is good enough that people are like, please, we want you.
I mean, that's kind of my whole approach to music right now, is that I want to, Fear of Water is like my personal music, my like vehicle of creative expression. I have no plan or intent to like build a band around that and take that on the road, and I'm more so treating it like my audio, like musical resume. And I love the idea of like, so like a seeker right now is seeking a touring drummer, like these opportunities that pop up where I'm like right place, right time, and have not only the skill set, but the connection, like other, music recorded, showcasing my abilities to hop in there. Like that's basically been the dream for me. Like, no need to have something be my own. I would be very happy to join something that is established, especially like my time in Raw so far is like, we just did the tour we did in 2022, 20th anniversary of From One, the first album. And like, I had that album, I bought that album my freshman year of college. So it's like fucking surreal for me to be out there interfacing with these fans that have been around 2 decades and playing these songs that I've been listening to for, the majority of my adult. So it's pretty great. Like, things are definitely going the way that I want them to. It's great. And that's also after like 20 years of like roadblocks, dead ends, leads that never go through, people dropping the ball, me fucking something up my end. So it's just very fulfilling after this time to finally get momentum going.
No, that's great, because like I said, every time that I hear one of your songs, I mean, you can hear the talent in it, you can hear the experience in it, if that makes sense. And this was part of the conversation that I had with somebody yesterday, where we were talking about, it's like when you get to a point where you've had all of this experience, you have all of that to pull on, so you can do nothing but get better. And so, like, I mean, there's a difference between having talent, which obviously you do, and you had talent when you first started. But there's a big difference between honing that talent and practicing for so long, right, that you can really, really, when you put something out, it's going to be perfect. Because at the beginning, you're still learning. He is his own band, and he works with bands. He does both.
Correct. Yeah. Fear of Water is my one-man band. I do everything and play all the instruments, sing, write the music, record it, publish it. And I'm the drummer for the band Raw, and I'm the drum tech for Nothing More. And who knows what's next,
Exactly. You just never know. I mean, I know that you're on Spotify, and by the way, congrats on that for all those streams.
Thank you. Yes, that's a new song, Pray For Yourself, with Marcos from El Nino, cracked the 51,000 stream mark this morning, and it's only been out for about a week. So yeah, I'm super pumped about that. It's great.
No, it's a really good one. I did use it in the story and in the reel one, or I think it was a reel, but I did use it to promo for this podcast, because number one, it's your most recent, but also it's really good. I mean,
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very, very proud of it, and it's exciting just to like even just the opportunity to collaborate with those people and like other people in the future that I'll be partnering with is really exciting for me. But the opportunity, like part of the strategy working with all of these artists that are desire to collaborate is the opportunity to like get our combined music in front of El Nino fans, for example. And like Sessions, their early album hit 20 years last year as well. So like another thing, just like it's a like if I could tell myself 20 years ago that I'd be making music with these bands that I liked forever, I'd say bull fucking shit. Yeah, just like those fans have been really supportive. Like I can tell on my end with Spotify for stats, like it's getting put on a lot of playlists, and yeah, just means a lot to me.
No, that's awesome. And it makes sense too. I mean, because if you were to describe your music like genre for, let's just say, Fear of Water,
Sure.
obviously we know that Raw is rock.
Yeah,
I mean,
so like
would they be
Raw,
just
I
rock?
think like a specific differentiator about Raw is so it's like melodic rock, but there's two kind of key defining things about it. One is that it has this like very distinct like Middle Eastern Egyptian vibe to it, and like the only song you've ever heard is "Do You Call My Name," and there's 5 albums that it's full of plenty of these examples, but it just has this like really cool Middle Eastern minor key vibe that just pairs really well with genre. You know, like that first album was like coming out at the height of new metal.
Right.
You know, like fucking Korn was on TRL kind of thing. So there's like a lot of 7-string heaviness on there, but also like it's like very melody forward, and like there's no screaming whatsoever. And I know I love screaming. I think it has its time and place, and there's plenty of bands that I love that just all screams, but definitely is like for someone who's like, I don't know, rock music is so angry or whatever, like it is more palatable for a broader audience who like have some sort of aversion to aggressive music. But like musically there's like a lot of intense there too, so like it's really cool doing that. But compared to like, and the songs are certainly the singles are like relatively straightforward. So if I would compare that to Fear of Water, Fear of Water is a lot heavier and more complex. Sahaj Ticketon, the lead singer of Raw, is like a masterclass producer and songwriter, and like when he's not doing stuff for Raw, he is like co-writing, producing, and engineering for, like he just did a lot on Nothing More Is Less. He's worked with Bad Wolves, Motley Crue, Starset, Otherwise, like a ton of these bands, and he just has his like magic fingerprint all over like so much you hear on Octane and just like some of our favorite bands that are out there and stuff now, which is great, and which is why he's featured on Shiprock this year, and last year, and Raw has performed on Shiprock in his past. But so like he's really good about like great songwriting, very succinct, like understands the hook, understand what it is, like make something catchy. And my approach to music is not that. Like that's a really important that you should be doing with songwriting thing, but like there's plenty of songs that exist that are 3-chord rock songs that I love, but if I wrote a 3-chord rock song, I would not like it. Like I feel the need to have a level of complexity and nuance and like just interesting, something that's a little weird in the music without making it like a 9.5-minute long Tool song or Dream Theater or something like that. So figuring out the way to do like hooky, heavy rock that has a blend of very aggressive vocals and clean singing, and figuring out, keep it in that 3 to 4 minute range, while having plenty of interesting parts that take it way beyond that standard, butt rock 3-chord, 4-chord type thing. Yeah, but I would say both bands, melodic, hard rock, but that's the difference between the two.
No,
Makes
absolutely.
sense?
No, absolutely. It's like you're basically building an onion with you, like in your music. You want it to have all those different levels, all those different layers of different stuff that you feel like you want in there, and that's that simple. And that's the cool thing about artistry, is that the way that you hear it and what you want people to hear, you're coming across doing that. It's amazing. That's why I like that's why I like when you put out songs. I'm like, yes, please, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Ben T says that's super dope. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, that's not easy to get. I mean, a lot of people that, not everybody, but quite a few people that we know tend to. Oh, there he goes. Just slid over to Spotify to follow it and started Pray for Yourself. Yo, that's going on my playlist for work. There you go.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that.
That's all it takes is a listen. Like, there are some songs and there are some bands that, like, all it takes is a few seconds and you're like, yep, I am, I love it. And then you start following everything that they do because they're just that good.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely had those moments. There are bands that have had grow on me over time, like more of an acquired taste, which I'm cool with. But like, that's not what I want personally, especially now that I'm doing these partnerships with, established musicians and having this opportunity to get in front of their audiences. Like, again, I want to serve them up like, cookie cutter rock bullshit that's indistinguishable from any other band. I also want to give them something that like if you're listening to one of my songs, you don't get in the first 30 seconds, you're probably not going to like anything that I do, which is fine. Like, I don't need or expect everyone to like what I do. But I'm conscious enough about what I'm creating. Like, you're going to get the intended flavor and output, certainly within the first minute of a song. And, if it's at the point where we're like, oh, after the 10th list grew on me, then I'm failing somehow on my end. But that's fine. Like, there's plenty of music that I don't like as well. And we're not, supposed to like every single thing that we hear. That's totally fine.
Well, if everybody liked everything they heard all the time, then like there'd be no uniqueness. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would say that I was thinking about this recently. Is like, I feel like all decades before probably 2000 have these like really defined genres and movements in music. Like 80s is, hair metal and synth wave, like Depeche Mode and shit like that. And, 90s is, the era of grunge, and, 70s has like classic rock and funk, and 60s is, so it's just like, I feel like I wouldn't know what to call it after 2000. Like 2000 was like the height of new metal, but it also certainly went away almost just as quickly. So it's not like a defining thing. Same thing with boy bands. I think the proliferation of like, I think the internet changed that a lot. Like, basically we all relied on radio to basically tell us what was available to us, and that kind of kept our section relatively limited. And now that people basically don't buy music anymore, and we rely on streaming services and YouTube videos, and like, oh, I heard this in a commercial. Like, I make music with a group of guys in Milwaukee that is a band, but played in forever, would still make music, called Modern Echo, and we have made music for 2 WWE wrestlers, and the amount, tens of thousands of streams that we've gotten, and people coming to our social channels or to our YouTube channel because they're like, oh, I'm watching Monday Night Raw, and dude came out, Cash Mono is one of the guys, and like, I pulled out Shazam and started playing it recently, or like I went up and like Googled lyrics and found you guys. Like, it's cool having those opportunities to be aligned with something like that and get in front of a new audience.
Well, I think that, and Rain, that was what I was about to say, is I think that if we could define it by anything at this point in time, it's fusion. It's all fusion. Not everything, but most of it.
Yeah.
Because you have your rock rap, you have your, country rock, you have your, like, you know what I'm saying when I'm talking about, like, when it comes to like rock metal, they cross all these different lines, which means they're bringing in all this audience, but they have to, because now with the internet and the way it is, anybody can make music and put it out there. So you don't have to be signed. You can put out your own music. You can be found. You can be heard. You can get a lot of streams. You can get paid for it. Like, that's how it goes. But in order to be seen, right? Because now you're competing with, instead of with the other 8 songs that they play on repeat on the radio that day, because you heard the same one like 4 times when you're like, if you're at work and you're listening to the radio, you've heard that song like 4 times. It's like, really. And now you have like, satellite radio, which has changed a lot of it. And now the streaming services, to be seen, you've got to have something special, and you can't just sound like any other band, right? You've got to do something different. It's either got to be levels better, levels more complex, catchy. You just pick something, and that's it. Or you do bring them something they don't know about, which is like where the fusion comes in. Like, hey, I'm going to do polka and metal with a country vibe.
Right.
And people will be like, oh, that's kind of cool. And you're going to get your polka, metal, country fans. And they're going to be like, this is the best genre ever. It's, you know, pedal hall. I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just made that up. Could you tell?
I love it. It's good.
No, but I'm just saying, it's like that's where it's at. And the other thing, and I'd say this all the time when I talk to people, constantly say this, the other way to be seen is to be personable and be approachable and not be up on a pedestal like a lot of people were. The whole time we were growing up, you would never, never be able to speak to or be in the room with or participate in any capacity with some of these huge bands or these huge artists. You just can't.
Yeah.
But now, especially for independent people, especially, you've got to make people like you or hate you, because sometimes people go for that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
they hear your music. They come because they heard a music or they heard something, or like, for example, here they came because I have you on. They came for me. They hear you. They hear your music. Now they stay and now they support you. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's how it's happening. Because you can't just go on the radio and say, well, if it's on the radio, it must be good, because that ain't true anymore. Just saying. I tried to listen to the radio the other day and I was like, turn it back on.
You say radio? Do you mean like
FM?
FM? Yeah. Do you ever listen to anything on like Sirius XM satellite radio?
I don't have Sirius, so I used to, but I always would go on the 90 station.
Lithium?
Always on the 90 station.
Gotcha,
always.
For sure.
I mean, I wanted it.
I think
everything.
Octane has a lot of good stuff. Like, there's also a lot of stuff. Like, it's been this way for a long time, but like, there's always going to be like a lowest common denominator type of music that like the most people like people shit on Nickelback all the time, but they also sell out stadiums and are probably one of the best selling bands of the last 20 years. And like, it's because as much as a lot of us don't like them, or it's popular to hate on them, like, they have a formula of music that works, undeniably works, which is why a lot of their songs sounded the same. And if it didn't work, they wouldn't still be popular. They didn't just like, they don't have some sort of magical power that just makes people show up at their shows or buy their music. So like, it's okay. It's not my preference that, you know, most music be indistinguishable from each other, but like, it is that way because so many people like that flavor of music. So Octane, in my opinion, has like a pretty good blend of like that relatively, you know, very palatable to anyone who enjoys any kind of rock music. But then they'll do like test drive where they introduce a lot of new music, and you know, they do a fair amount of like playing something that's, you know, interesting, and just the fact that that's like available on a global level as well. You know, I like that. You know, there's definitely like a regionality to music fandom in our country, as well as, you know, metal and rock are so bigger in Europe than it is here. So like, it's interesting just to see like how people get their music, and like, I think FM and AM is definitely going away in our lifetime, and it's just basically like all cars are going to come with Sirius XM. Radios are basically going to, like, you know, even like a portable radio is just basically going to have Sirius built into it. So it's interesting to see like how it is coming together.
I mean, and then of course there's two sides to that, right? Because Sirius XM is not free. And, you know, which is why I don't have it, because trust me, with as many things that I have to pick everything that I'm going to invest my money into, that's not something that I've chosen, because I literally spend the time from driving from my house to the gas station and back again. That's pretty much the extent of my car travel. So for me, it would be useless. I know you can listen to it on a computer, but I don't. And my phone, but I don't. I actually don't listen to any music on purpose, outside of like when I run into stuff or happen to see things or go seek it out. So, but also it's great that you can have music that is global, because obviously it definitely is bigger in Europe. However, you're also competing with an international pool of people. So that in and of itself could make it a little bit more complicated, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's easier to be seen or to get your music out there. However, you're now in a sea of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely harder to like make a career out of music. Basically, the way that artists are making music is on tour, and so doing shows and selling merch on tour, like no money from selling music. Having your music licensed, like in a commercial on an episode of fucking CSI or something like that, having a professional athlete use your music, something like that can be very profitable. But yeah, there's just an absolutely enormous sea of talent and competition out there. I just Googled. I'm just curious, like, if you had to guess, how many Sirius XM subscribers do you think that there are? I have the fourth quarter 2022 stat in front of me.
I bet there's a lot.
Oh, it's just in the U.S.
Just in the U.S., like
yeah,
2 million.
34.9 million.
About?
Just in the U.S. Crazy.
That's insane.
But to your point, I agree. I also don't have Sirius XM, but they also don't have commercials. So like FM and AM radio relies on commercials to their, monetary. So I could see there being some sort of blend. Like as Sirius becomes the dominant form of radio, like inevitably there was some sort of, I don't know if it'll be like traditional commercials, like every 5 songs you get 3-minute commercials, or maybe it's like this hour is brought to you by blah. Like, basically, probably pretty similar to like Spotify now. If you don't have a premium account, you can listen to like fucking 30 minutes of music, and then you have to watch a 9-second Geico commercial, and then you get more music. It'll probably be something like that. Whatever. People got to make money. I get it.
Oh, Desiree's saying, she said that her boyfriend, she's talking about her boyfriend, who, by the way, he sings. Cool. He said if he only had YouTube back then, or internet like it is now, and cell phones. Or like how you can record music on a phone.
Think about how the advanced recording, home recording specifically is now. Like if I had the equipment and it's so cheap too. Like the Neural DSP guitar plugins and drum stuff, like the stuff that Now Good puts out for drums, which is just like the exact samples and sounds and triggers that are used on the most recent Periphery albums. You can get that for $90. Like that's fucking crazy to me. And if I had that 20 years ago, like I would be I don't know that I would like do anything else with my life. I just lock myself away and just like put out music all the time. But like, it's good to see that that's evolution. Things are changing. It's becoming more accessible, and like frankly, I would rather see. Like, I don't rely on music for my survival. I love it. It would be great to do that, but like in general, I would rather see a world where I guess anyone can make, publish, and share music at a relatively level because of the cheap, the full tools that are available to them. And if you take the time to learn how to use them, like I'd rather see a world where like virtually anyone can make music versus we only get really good music, but we only have a selection of like 100 bands,
No, I get that.
Unless you're like, really tuned into like the local scene, and only, the only time you hear music is at live shows. There's nothing wrong with that as well. But just like I feel like things are kind of balancing out. Like basically Napster destroyed the convention of the music industry. And then, it's been pretty fucked for a long time, and we're getting to a point where it's balancing out. Like streaming services are starting slowly but surely pay artists more, and at-home recording technology is starting to get a lot better, so artists don't have to spend $50,000 to record an album, and record labels aren't really as needed anymore. And so like the industry is balancing back out and kind of evolving into this new thing. So I'm okay with it. It was a rough transition, but I think a lot of good stuff is coming out of it.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I think that. Hey, what's up, Truth? I see you. I think that a lot of people have an issue. I think it's more with we're watching the end of the record label being necessary. I get that they do backing, but it's not necessary to be a success is to be on a record label. That used to be it. You get signed, you are set. It doesn't matter how bad they screw you. If you're not signed, you're not getting seen. You're not getting heard. You have no chance. And that is no longer a thing. And whether they want you to believe that or not, it's literally no longer a thing. But they can potentially give you backing or give you the funding, but it's always with a catch. It's always with a price. That's somebody's personal choice if they've decided that they want to do that, because I want to be signed. I want to be with this label. I want to get on this, that, or the other. I know country music is really big on, if you're not with the label, you're probably not going to get very far.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it is very genre specific. So like country, probably a lot of rap, certainly pop music, singer songwriters, like it still makes a lot of sense because those are very commercial forms of music. Like, so it makes sense to work with a label if what they're providing is like partnerships, placement. A lot of labels do have kind of behind the scenes relationships with the playlist managers at Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, like that. Like a lot of people kind of very similar to just like a lot of people before Sirius and before streaming music just relied on the radio. Like, oh, what I hear on the radio is what music is to me. And I feel like that is what's happening with playlists on something like Spotify, is that like people rely on songs being songs that they have not heard of from they haven't heard of being added to these big playlists on Spotify to be like their source of new music. A lot of record labels have people who are maintaining relationships with people at Spotify. I have no doubt that there is a financial aspect of this. Like, hey, we have this artist single. We're going to give Spotify, I don't know, fucking 20 grand to include it on this playlist that has 5 million followers. Yeah, so it's the new record label needs to provide those kinds of services and value to incentivize anyone to want to sign with. Otherwise, it's just like there's not much of a, other than being like, holy shit, I have a record deal, which I mean, it's still be amazing to say like I achieved that. That used to be the holy grail of success in the music industry.
Exactly.
We don't need them for music publishing. We don't need to write $100,000 check, which they will recoup with interest from all of their artists, to record them. Even creating music videos at a very high quality is becoming easier and easier because of these tools becoming more affordable, because of people in our generation becoming like really obsessed with like educating themselves about these tools and editing technology and effects. And like, it's really cool to see basically our generation and younger kind of taking the power away from what used to be like the overlords of the music world. I think it's cool.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. I just think, like I said, I really do think we saw, I mean, the radio still matters to a point. A lot of people use it. A lot of people around it, like it's a thing, but it's not a thing for like the younger generation. I don't think as much as it was when I was growing up. It was the be all end all. Cassettes, CDs. Then we found Napster and LimeWire, and that was it for us. But
yeah, you
didn't know about the music on Napster. You heard it, and then you went and ripped it off of there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That
so
wasn't
that's how you.
Exposure.
Yeah, that's how you heard it, and that's the thing is like, yeah, I know people myself that they put together playlists of like new music that's come out from independent artists so that people can hear new stuff, and then we have reaction channels and things like that react to especially music that's not going to get them their channel blocked, but they react to it and with the intent of not only sharing good stuff, but to turn people on to music that they might not listen to. So especially,
do you like those channels?
I'm really involved with them. I'm not a reactor, but I'm really involved with them.
So there's just something. So there's one thing to be like vocal coach watches Tool for the first time, breaks it down like that. There's a lot of stuff that's like black guy here's Metallica for the first time. It just seems so like,
oh no, not
like
that. I know what you're saying.
I don't understand what, and I would like everyone to hear Metallica. I don't understand making a video of someone that had no musical merit whatsoever. Where it's like grandma listening to Slipknot, and it's just like watching someone listen to music. I don't understand why those videos have like hundreds of millions of views. And if it does something to music, cool. I don't get it.
No, I get it, and I actually have a couple of responses to that. Like I said, I'm very involved because I know a lot of YouTube reactors. I know a lot of reaction channels. There's a couple points. One of it is everyone has this. Let me address the first part. The clickbaity thing is bullshit. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Woman reacts to an anti-woman song just so that people will click on it. Now, on the flip side, YouTube has an algorithm, And people are fickle and sheepish, and they will click on things that are volatile. So they tend to be like, oh my gosh, black guy reacts to all white band or something. And they're like, oh, that's going to be interesting. I get what you're saying. However, I don't mess with people like that. So the second point is when it comes to watching someone watch it for the first time. First off, you like the person, right? You like what they have to say. You think they're fun. You think they're interesting, especially when it comes to like rap. Bar breakdowns is a big thing because a lot of people just don't get them. They don't catch them. And it's really cool to hear someone else catch it. Now, hearing it for the first time, it's that high, that first listen that you had, and you're like, oh my God, this song is amazing. It's kind of like living vicariously through somebody who gets to do the same. And the people who hadn't heard it that are in the chat, they get to hear it, and it's like a whole thing. It's not for everybody. Not everybody likes it. Some people do. However,
yeah, like Ben even said, playlists would suck without reactors. And I appreciate the fact that there are people who like, just like the fact that Twitch exists at all. The fact that there's like millions of people that love to watch other people play video games is not something. And I'm a gamer. I don't understand the appeal of Twitch to the point of even like subscribe to someone, basically feeding into their Patreon, the whole thing. I love playing video games. I would watch a video game video to like get tips for something I'm stuck on, and like BioShock or whatever. But, like the idea of like I'm just regularly gonna watch PewDiePie play whatever the current game is and scream goofy shit at the screen, I don't find value in that. But it's different strokes, different folks. However people are finding their music cool, I just don't. I personally connect to that.
Well, no, I get that.
Bars breakdown, you said, like, I love that. That's actually providing value. It's musical insight, or if it's even just someone's opinion, but like detailed, of just like, oh shit.
Yeah, that that stuff I can't stand. No, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. That shit I can't stand. Those are like the emotional, throw their chair down, run around in a circle type people. No, thank you. The people that and people in the chat, they know who I mess with. They're adding something to it. They are pointing things out. They are giving a commentary. They're taking it seriously. They're not reacting to, hey, if I react to this and I label it that, I'm going to get all these views because it's going to be crazy and everybody likes it. So I'm going to run around in a circle and pretend like you just blew my mind. These are people who take a song that everybody can't stand or loves and will say, yeah, this ain't it for me. It's not it for me, but it's different stuff for everybody else. Like, this is something, I get where you're coming from. I get that the musicality is good, but I don't like it. Someone that's going to be honest, that to me matters. Now, gaming, I know a lot of reactors that I'm friends with who do gaming, and I'm like, hi, I jump in their live chat. I'm like, hello, I'm out. They know I don't watch. I have no interest. I have a lot of stuff to do. But, sure. And see, Desiree's like, I like comedy reactions more. I think it really boils down to wanting somebody to either provide the insight. I'm not talking about the running around throwing the chair. I'm talking about somebody who appreciates music and you appreciate them and you respect their opinion, getting to relive that first time listen moment and being able to kind of experience that with them and get, did they go, oh, the same time you did? It's kind of fun. It is fun. Now, I don't watch as many as I used to when I first found it, but yeah, see, like channels like Zach, he plays indie artists for exposure. Now, I'm a little on the fence about one type of, we'll call them reactors.
Okay.
To me, a reaction is to play a video. Let's just say there's a music video or there's a song. Okay. So sure. I could share my screen and do it right now. I'm not going to do it in a second, but I could share my screen. We could do it right now and pull up the video and we can both hear it and we're listening. And I pause it. I'm like, holy crap, I didn't expect that, or blah, 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 blah. Or did he just say, and then you rewind it and you're like, yeah, that was a bar. Cool. The difference is when people call themselves reactors and play a radio station. I don't like that. Because what you're doing is you're getting paid to play somebody else's music. You're not adding anything to it. And then you're signing off. And I'm like, I don't like that. Because to me, that's exactly what reactors fight against when people are claiming, oh, you're ripping off someone's music. Well, no, they are adding to it. They are trying to give it a spotlight or showcase it, right? Now, I'm not talking like indie artists who are like, hey, play my song on your channel so people can hear it. That's different. I'm talking about, hey, go play the latest, Five Finger Death Punch song. Or oh, go listen to the latest da 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 da, and they just play it and they sit there and they're like, okay, who's next? Okay, who's next? Like that, I don't like. But that's me.
Yeah,
I disagree with
sure.
the whole concept of it, but that's me. I mean, if you want to go watch a list of videos, right? Go watch a list of videos. If they're
Yeah,
not
just calling it's the reaction thing. Like I feel like this type of video would be popular because of more shock oriented stuff. It would be like showed
yeah,
my mom 2 girls 1 cup and then filmed it and then
or
like
lemon party.
posted that. Yeah, exactly. Meat spin or like the videos where it's like it gets I don't it
Right,
gets
because
you
you're
to
thinking
like
of the
look
action,
at
the
your
reaction. You're thinking of
yeah,
the physical,
exactly.
like the look on the face and the ooh, like holy crap, like that stuff. And I think that
Yeah.
reaction channels are kind of they group in more. What I'm talking about would be they pay attention to the lyrics and the musicality and things like that, and they make
Yeah.
commentary on it. So,
Yeah, but that's a review. I mean, like that
yeah,
it's just that is what it is. No, it's like music analysis or review or whatever word you want to use, but like
right.
reaction to me is just like very clickbaity. And even the thumbnails for almost every single one of those is some sort of exaggerated like it's just you do what you got to do. I get it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, me personally, as someone who makes music on a very regular basis with a wide variety of people, different genres or whatever, like I don't get it, but whatever keeps music going and in people's life, I'm cool with that. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying it's something I'll never personally connect to. But it's cool. Like I'm happy to see that guys like T like gain. It's not just like, oh man, that was fun to watch this guy, throw his chair across the room because that Slipknot breakdown was sick. If he's finding new music, building playlists off of that, and said now I'm organizing shows, setting up battles, and found almost a second like that's awesome. I would never want to take that away from anyone. I just think, personally don't connect with it.
No, I completely get it. And there's both sides of that when it comes to the artists. Like even independent artists are more likely to approve of reaction channels just because of the exposure to a new audience that maybe never heard them, etc. So, but there are artists, independent, not independent, doesn't matter, who cannot stand it. They don't like it. And some of them absolutely love it. Like, you let me know, I got you. Like, if you get if you get a block or something, I'll release it because I like reaction channels. I appreciate the insight. Keyword insight, right?
Right.
Into the music and, trying to, especially like with rap, trying to explain, the lyrics and things like that. Like, this is a double, this is a triple, this is this type of cadence, and this is a certain type of scheme. You think that anybody knows that shit except for people that do it? No.
Right.
The only problem,
okay, yeah.
The only problem though with I know people that like 307, they have local label that they run. They play instruments, drums, guitar, sing, and it's all rock and everything, right? They rock and metal people get into the technicalities of their equipment and drive me completely bonkers. Every time. And it's like, oh, well, the amp 12AQR. And they're like, oh, well, I have the third version and the second cousin of that one. They're like, well, that doesn't clamp with this. And the 7th string, you can tie it around your neck and then you can hang the amp off your back. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about?
I just did a new podcast called, I was the first guest on this podcast called Roadie Friday last week. That's with the guitar tech for Mark Tremonti and the guitar tech for 9 Kills. And those two guys that were together, great guys. And like the music industry is so small and like tightly interwoven that there is a built audience for this kind of podcast. So they bring on either musicians and or drum techs, guitar techs, people who make shows happen.
Right.
And that type of conversation can get very technical in terms of talking about, guitar types. Are you using wireless? Are you plugged in? What kind of amp do you have? What are you running your back through? Everything like that, which can be interesting and entertaining to those who are that deep. But for those who aren't, it's like instant snooze fest. I totally get that for sure.
Yeah, just like assume that I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And we'll go from there. Like that's kind of where I'm at because, today is the 1 year anniversary of this podcast. Shout out elsewhere. Yay.
Oh,
Um,
hell yeah.
the first guest, and he was in here earlier. That was Beats, Bars, and Delivery. He is a reactor. He's also an artist himself. And, you know, I'm really close with him. He was our first guest a year ago today. And it's just funny because over the course of the last year, all the different guests, you know, it's always the rock ones. But I always tell people, I'm like, at first, like a year ago, I didn't know about any of the terminology for any of the genres. Like, you basically call me an ignorant, just sitting there like, why am I even on the screen? I don't get it. Like, that was me. So, but now I literally can listen to something, and this is thanks to people, because I hear it, but I don't know what it is. So I think another thing for me personally that I prefer when it comes to like reaction channels and stuff like that is when they're like, oh, do you hear in the back of the mix there? And I'm like, oh, that's what that is.
Yeah.
So now the equipment, I haven't, it's like somebody standing there and explaining to me how they took apart a carburetor. I'm like, I just ignore them the whole time, and then I just go, oh, okay, yeah.
Actually, I get both sides of it. I get why that's not interesting, and I also understand that without building the carburetor, the car doesn't work. So
right.
both
Well, that's
of
why I
those
pay
things are
somebody to
super
do that
important.
for me.
There you go. Exactly. It's all. I totally get it. I'm saying Desiree because that's how it's written phonetically. I could be wrong. Is it Desiree? Desiree.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
So the Fearwater do a live stream reviewing music and see what happens. I don't want to. I feel like there's enough people out there that have opinions about music that already have established channels doing that. For me, kind of going back to what I was talking, like how my music compares to Raw's or Nothing More. I'm much more interested, and this is just for me, not because it's like better than anything else or whatever, but for like if I'm gonna dedicate time, resources, money, like everything that it takes to put music or some creative output, like having a point of differentiation is critically important to me. I don't want to do something that other people are doing and just hope that more people like me because like for what surface level reasons of like they like how I look or they like the sound of my voice or that I laugh or like they come like an asshole I am when I'm tearing something apart. Like I don't. That doesn't do it for me. And plenty of other resources and ways to get that from other content creators. If I'm doing something, like it's to be, in my own opinion, like unique and different, but still within the genre of what I'm looking to do. And I don't think I can achieve that at all with reviewing music. Also, I could see something. You could say this about anyone, but like I don't think my opinion matters more than anyone else's. Like I do have a very technical inside understanding of music, like songwriting and music creation and the recording process, mastering and publishing and everything like that. So I'm happy to talk about it like in this context with a fellow, hardcore music fan. But to just specifically just create something to be like, I have something to say, here are my thoughts, come listen to it. I don't see myself doing that.
You had me at I don't want to. No, serious. No, you have no idea how serious I am because everybody knows. People tell me all the time, like, do reactions. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Well, why not? You could get monetized. I'm good. No, I'm good. I know my channel's small. I know it could grow it exponentially really, really fast. But I know who to pick. I know what songs to do. I know what bands to do to get their fan bases to come swarming in, right? I know how that works.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. Like, that's not for me. Just like the gaming, watching somebody game, it's not for me. Your choice of your creative outlet is not putting content up in a live stream reviewing other people's music. Your chosen output for your creativity is your music done in the way you love.
Yeah.
That you're
Absolutely.
good at. I mean, and that's fine. It's totally fine because I know some people do multiple things and that's fine. But it's just like, telling somebody who does amazing sculpture to go paint a picture. And they're like, well, I don't want to. Like, that's not for me. Or to tell them, okay, well, you're creative, so go write something. Well, that's not how that works. In my opinion. I mean, I think that's kind of where you're going with that.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
honestly, it's absolutely hands down different strokes for different folks. I mean,
sure.
The same with, whether you love or hate reaction channels or the radio or mainstream music versus independent, musicians, whether you like a genre, whether you have to over clarify genre like metal, that is a thing for me. Death metal, hardcore metal, power metal, new metal, old metal, pretty metal, silver metal,
screamcore, or all the people get so. It's one if you just want to be specific about the kind of music that you like. Another thing when you get down to the level of being like, black metal is clearly better than doom metal. Doom metal is fucking bullshit. It's like if you're making genres specifically to pit music against each other, it's like we all have better things to do in our life. Like it's people creating art for whatever reason they want to art. I either enjoy it because they've shared it with everyone, or don't into it. And I'm not saying you're not entitled to not like sing, but I know that there's people out there like music is big part of a lot of people's identity and personality. And I love that because I think it's a life without music is if I ever meet someone and ask what kind of music they like, and they're like, I don't really listen to music. I'm like, oh, you're a serial killer. Like you are a straight up like shell.
Something wrong with you.
If music's not a part of your life at all. But if part of your identity is also that like I love this music as much as I hate this music, that just is toxic to me. Like I just don't understand dedicating any time at all, effort and energy to like make like gotta get in that YouTube the comment section, let them know how much they fucking suck. Like they have to know, and other people know. And when you see kind of hatred from someone on one piece of content, it's not a one-off thing. You know that it's someone who dedicates a concerning amount of time to like proliferating hatred. I just don't. And there's tons of music that I don't like. Like there's plenty that I would never want to listen to, but I will also never dedicate a second of my life to plant that flag of hatred in the ground and be like, other people need to know that I don't like this, and make hyperbolic statements like this is the worst song ever recorded. It's like, why do we even just the fact that I'm talking about it right now because it happens so much is very frustrating to me. It's just
I get that. And I think any identifying is anything that has to do with negativity and that hatred, that toxicity, that defining your character in any way, shape, or form means that there's something went wrong. And I know that that's very, very common right now. And that's one thing, and I talk about like my teenager and stuff, and I talk about that one of the biggest issues is that for some stupid reason, she thinks that I have to listen to her opinion. And that's what, social media and this instant gratification and, being able to comment something and having no consequences, like somebody socking you in the face when you say something hateful about their girlfriend, you can just shit on them and nobody does anything about it. And so that trickles over into real life, into like, there's so many of them that believe this. They literally will say, like, I looked at the video, I've got to make a comment. Well, I didn't like it. I thought that person looked like she had what's that hair growing out of the middle of her eyeball? Like, that makes no sense. Be like, bitch, find you a salon and pluck that shit. Like, who asked you? Nobody needs to say that. Like, it's not necessary. Okay, well, maybe send her a gift card. Like, I don't know what to say. But I'm just saying, like, there's no consequence to it. Right? And then just on a one-off, if you say something really shitty and the consensus is that the content is not that great, and then someone goes, hell yeah, and then people start liking it and they start commenting under it. Now you've gotten that negative attention, and now you think my shit don't stink, and you're going to go keep doing it.
People love, that's like a currency. Like people feed off of that, like acknowledgement and support, even for the worst of things. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. There's a lot of terrible things about social media, and you just we have to take the good with the bad until the owners of these social networks do a better job of creating a less toxic environment. Like that just
all we can do is focus on what we're doing and making sure that what will you put out there. And I say this all the time too. If you have any access to a platform that has any type of public reach in any capacity, you should have the responsibility to be kind and not be an asshole. Like, I mean, be an asshole within context, but don't do it just for the purpose of being toxic and an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, like, basically behave like a normal human being when you're in front of other human beings. Like, that's the fact that bar is too high for like millions of people blows my mind. It's like,
I agree.
So many examples of what we're talking about, right? You would never say to someone's face. Just wouldn't.
That's my favorite thing, because I would like say that to my face. Come say that over here. That's what we used to say that. Remember, like people would be in like a Yahoo chat room, I'd be like, you're in the Kansas City chat room, bitch. You know,
Yeah.
you're right up the road. Come say that to me. Meet me at Old Settlers.
Desiree is asking, what instruments do I play? I play, the piano. Looking at my YouTube page will give a good idea. Like something that I really like doing that I haven't done in a while, and now that I have this new music coming out, it's not just the new music coming out. That so I'm working with prominent musicians, but I'm also working with prominent producers. So the music I'm putting out is at the literal best quality it could possibly be. Like I'm making substantial investments in making truly pro quality music I recorded a 5-song EP with Saj Ticketin, like I said, who works with Bad Wolves, Otherwise, Nothing More, Star Set. I just recorded the song that has Marcos from El Nino on it. I recorded that, excuse me, with a guy out of San Antonio who did Upon a Burning Body and Sons of Sis and Kingdom Collapse. Kingdom Collapse is a band that has had a #1 song on Octane. And through Kingdom Collapse, I got introduced to the next producer I'm working with in Nashville in February. His name's Kyle Odell. His most notable thing that he's done is he does producing and engineering for most of, or not, maybe not most of, a lot of Motionless in White's music. He also works with Nina Strauss a lot and did that song with her and David Draymond. Worked with Shaman's Harvest, like a lot of really, really great bands. So I'm super looking forward to doing that EP this year. And like I want to do like at least 5 projects like that this year. Like working with a prominent producer who works with bands that I really respect and love, creating at least 3 to 4 songs, and each of those songs having a feature from musicians that I really love and respect from other jobs. But anyways, I'm getting way off base here. So instruments I play: piano, guitar, bass, drums. I sing. Become very I've spent a lot of time working on understanding all things electronic in terms of like drum programming and using MIDI and synthesizers and arpeggiators and everything. That, I mean, there's such like an infinite world of what you can create sonically through your computer. And yeah, basically anything with strings can play, plus drums and piano.
No, that's awesome. I mean, that's pretty well rounded. That's why you can be a one-man band, to be honest.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
But like the biggest thing is being able to it's very possible to be like proficient in multiple instruments, but then like not understand songwriting and like how those instruments go together. And then also, so there's like knowing how to play the instruments, understanding songwriting and how to bring all those instruments together, and then recording that, which is like a whole different skill set, which is why there's professional engineers out there. And there are engineers who are not musicians who just totally understand, for example, how to use Pro Tools and 72 channel mixer and how to make the best sounding music possible. And I'm doing my best is, to like put all those things together. She just said Nashville. I'm not sure, it is the capital of our country. Videography is interesting. Infinite amounts of sounds. Okay, I'm going to start reading comments, but yes.
No, I was going to tell you, we I don't know if you knew this, but we've been talking for about an hour now.
Holy shit.
Can you believe that? No, I mean, the cool thing is that that's one of the things I really wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to at least dive into a little bit is just, I can't articulate it correctly, but like how well-rounded you are. Like all the different things that you can do and just how talented you really are. It's like not like I just play the drums. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some drummers that are like, will just blow your socks off, right?
Absolutely. Yes,
However, you don't just play the drums and you don't just play the bass and you don't just sing. Like you literally can do it all. And not only that, you do it all and you are part of all of these different bands and these different experiences and these different tours. Like just the experience is crazy, and I respect that a lot. I don't even know how else to put that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
That's something that I really
it's
think
literally
is awesome.
the thing I've dedicated the most time my entire life to. And there are people who do that just as much, if not more than me, and unfortunately, for whatever variety of reasons, never get to do anything beyond the creation of music, which in itself is amazing. Like creating music and then having the ability to record it and listen back to it in like a well edited, polished way is cathartic and therapeutic in a way that I can't describe, and most likely can only be understood by other people who have gone through that process. But you can also look at how many people get relief and joy and understanding and empathy from the music that they love, even if they didn't make it. And like, if you can understand that, then you can understand what a lot of musicians get from just the creation, even if no one ever hears it, but just the like, I have these emotions, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, and I took that and applied that to musical knowledge and skill sets that I've been working on for almost my entire life, and then recorded it, and I have this final thing that will literally exist forever. That's an amazing feeling. But then beyond that, be able to like bring other people and make music with them, and then perform it live and become successful performing it live, and like having people who embrace it and share it, which like then puts gas, the fire of being able to do it, be more prolific and actually like make money doing it, allows you to like up your game and make it more, it's such like a upward slope of so much from that. Just very thankful to be doing anything music related, but the fact that in this last 12 to 15 months, it's like the most exciting part of my career to date, and there's like so much momentum behind me and so much ahead of me. 2023, like I'm fucking thrilled. Like it's a really cool time in life right now.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you do, because I know you have a lot of stuff coming up. I know you've got a lot of things on your plate that you're planning on. You obviously explained quite a few of them here. I just can't wait to see you shine, because you do amazing. And I know that people appreciate you when you're on, when you're on stage. I'm sure you hear it from the crowd. You feel it, that vibe. You can feel it. You can't feel it through the streams, but obviously people are resonating with what you're doing. You're doing, obviously, you don't need me to tell you you're doing it right. You're doing it right. I just want you to know that I appreciate it, because I really do. And I don't like everything that everybody does all the time. So it's hard to, there are some people that I like the majority of their work, but there's nobody that I'm not like, I don't have one song where I'm like,
Agreed. Like, all of my favorite, there are several songs where I'm just like, this one's not for me, dude. But like, anything else I like will literally listen to until I die. But yeah, even the best of the best, in my own opinion, still do things that I'm just like, personally, I feel like you made the mark on this one, but maybe you're like scratching some sort of itch that hasn't been scratched before, and good for you. And then like, especially artists get later, like Trent Reznor right now, and like do whatever the fuck he wants. Like, I don't think we're ever going to get another Nine Inch Nails album that's even remotely close to Downward Spiral, Fragile with
right.
Teeth. Like, he's basically going to do soundtrack stuff. He's going to do one-off songs maybe with other artists. He's going to produce like he did Halsey's last album, which when I first heard about it, what? Do you like any pop music at all?
I haven't listened to very much lately. I used to, though.
Totally. Like, not my jam, but this Halsey album.
I know who Halsey is. I don't know about any recent album. I probably stopped paying attention in like for the last 3 years or so, at least.
That's not I don't have my finger on the pulse pop world or pop world.
You're a secret pop star. Don't lie.
I'm gonna send you a few songs from this album, and it's like, just the fact, even if you don't like the music, just the fact that like industrial music wizard that's been around since Pretty Hate Machine came out in 80, and that in 2021 he's not only still making music, but he's won multiple Grammys and Academy Awards, and he's done so many different things musically, collaborations, Nine Inch Nails, working with his wife with How to Destroy Angels. Also to just be like, you know what, I'm gonna produce one of the biggest pop stars of like the last 5 years or whatever, and then you can listen to it and be like, again, even if you don't like it, you can also be like, this isn't like a standard pop output. Like you can feel his fingerprint on it. And again, even if you don't like it, just the fact that those collaborations are happening makes me very excited. And to your earlier point, like it's that fusion. And if fusion can be happening on that level with fucking like incredible people, like frankly, both, I don't know much about Holly. She's undeniably like a fucking megastar. And Trent Reznor, I don't care if you hate Nine Inch Nails, it is an objective fact that he is one of the most influential musicians of our lifetime. Achieved greatness that is not seen, both like commercial, artistic, like diversity, whatever. Like he's done so much. and the fact that he's managed to still be relevant after 30 plus years making music is almost 40 years of making music. That's fucking wild. So it made me excited about the future. Yeah.
No, it's absolutely amazing. I completely agree because, I mean, there are people that I don't like. For example, if people are going to come at me, feel free. Harry Mack, I'm not a fan, but he's amazingly talented at what he does. He's amazing. I'm talking like it blows my mind every time, but I don't listen because I don't care. Not because I don't like him as a person or I don't like what he does or that he's not talented. I'm not a fan of freestyle. To me, that's just not, I'm like, okay, I would, if it's live, that's one thing if I was in person, but I also feel like, if you're going to put it on, you're going to put out a video of it, then I would really like it to be polished and pretty. Like, that's what I want. From like you put out a YouTube video, I don't want to watch your live performance on YouTube. I want to see your music video on YouTube. I want to go see your live performance live because it hits different. And you can't get that through the screen. Oh, stop, Ben. Don't give me crap. Leave it in the comments, okay? You know this. I've told you this a million times. So you don't have to, but you can appreciate talent and you can respect it. Same with like Lorna Shore, okay? Will Ramos, that oh my God, like the vocals? Are you kidding me? And people don't like that. They're like, okay, my precious, like what's happening here with these vocals? But you can appreciate that is actual talent because, somebody like my mom is probably going to be like, well, they're just screaming. And I'm like, no, it's actually 50,000 times harder to do that than 90% of the singing, rapping, whatever that people appreciate.
Yep, totally. I totally agree. And it's going back to what I was about Raw and Sahaj is like making music. You have to make choices. Like it's pretty well defined now about like what are the most consumable forms of music, at least like in America. And you have to decide if I want to go with the like quintessential mainstream, like it's hooky, it's short, only singing, it's catchy, that, or the further you get away from that, you probably get closer to like actual unique art. And there's shit that's over here that like is unlistenable in my opinion. Someone like doing like purest form of like, this is me in audio form. I'm like, this is my essence that I pulled out and somehow recorded it and here it is, but it's like fucking just chaotic trash. So there's that, and then there's Taylor Swift's new album, and then everything in between. And I like the fact that because we've made the playing field so infinitely enormous in terms of the fact that literally anyone can make music and publish it on Spotify, for example. I just like that's a thing, that's the world that we live in 2023, is that like there's this enormous spectrum where you don't have to like anything, but like you have all of these options in between the spectrum.
Rain, I think he was talking about the producer for 9 Inch Nails.
Where are we at here? Was he talking about Kevin Churko? No, I was talking about. Maybe when I was talking about Kyle Odell is who I was talking about in Nashville. Churko is another really awesome, prominent hard rock producer that's doing a ton of kick-ass shit in this genre for sure. I believe that's what you were asking about. Thank you. You're welcome.
Of all people, I completely would expect Rain to be like, "Oh, are you talking about so and so?" Like, of course, because she knows them all. So that's like.
Yeah, Churko is doing like really awesome hard rock, but like relatively mainstream hard rock music. It does it very, very well for sure. Love that.
Have you ever heard the theory? And I might be completely off, and I'm not trying to keep you longer than you want to be here. I know you got stuff going on.
I just cracked a freighter, so it's up to you. I'm good to hang out.
Well, have you ever heard it where they say that I swear I've seen a video about it where they say like if you take specific elements, okay, they take like one song and you can pretty much put like 75 hit songs in the last 30 years on the same exact music and it works.
Yes.
Every time.
Yep.
Because there's a
formula.
A formula. Thank you. Formula to making a hit song.
Yep, no doubt.
And it's how it sounds. It's the chords you use. It's the type of this, that, and the other. And it's funny because it has everything to do with like the background music. A lot of it has to do with that on top, not just the vocals, because you can take all of these different songs from all these different genres, these huge hits on the same exact, with the same spacing, or what is that called, where it's like 2/4,
Articulation. Yeah.
where it's like
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
the same timing or whatever, and
Yep.
they all work because they're all like, that's just a formula that people use. Now they might adjust a little bit of it, but for the main thing, at the core, it's this one thing, and it's appeal. So if you break off of that, right, then you got to bring something else to the table, because
For sure.
we have tons and tons of hits that kind of sort of sound the same. You get somebody that sounds like this, that kind of looks like this, and they kind of say these types of things. You make it sound pretty. You make me sing it in my head a couple times, and you're on the radio, right?
Yeah.
But if I want something that's gonna just like hit me where it matters, you got to bring more than that. You got to bring the lyrics. You got to bring the tone. You've got to bring the sounds that are just gonna haunt me somehow. That's gonna stick in my head, like, oh my God, what just happened here? Especially like if you're doing a song where people are screaming, you have to let it breathe. I was telling them as the structure fails the other day, not the other day, it was like 2-3 months ago. I said, I love it because they let it breathe. So they're not like full scream the whole time. And I'm like, oh my God, my mind's blown from start to finish. I need a pause. I need a break, y'all. I need a sip of water. I need something, and they do that. And they pull back, and they just like, they
dynamics
have a melodic.
Are a critical part. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
Rain said, Churko and hubby are friends. Please feel free to have your hubby pass on well wishes from Dave from Raw/Fear of Water.
Yeah, her husband's been on the podcast too. I had a lot of really cool people on. Really, really cool people.
Who's husband?
He's a studio designer.
Oh, awesome. Hell yeah.
It was the coolest thing to see all these really amazing studios, and to hear. My biggest thing was having absolutely no idea how a studio is built, but having a brain and some semblance of intelligence, was able to mush out some of the things that are required or necessary, right? And also some of the things that might change the sound or might affect it, right? So like you see the panels.
Like complex math goes into creating a sonically optimized room that is ideal for making music inside of, for sure. That's like a big deal.
And I was like, can you like talk to us like we don't know what you're talking about? And he did too. He went through all of it. He was telling us about all the stuff and the lighting and where things were, what kind of the rooms, and it was crazy. I mean, it was crazy. It was amazing though, and he's worked with some really cool people. So I just like hearing about all the different things behind the scenes, because most people just hear a song, they like it, they don't like it. They go to a show, they'll put it on a playlist and they move on. But there are so many moving parts, into writing, creating, performing, playing, doing the live versus doing it in a studio, and then all the elements that go into it as well.
Oh yeah.
It's mind blowing. And you're like handling like 7 of those elements, so
Ben T says, gotta blow Bush up so I can get an invite. Bush, like Bush beer?
Yeah. He actually works with Bush to do a beatbox battle once a year. They host a competition.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm going this coming year. We've decided.
That's awesome. Very cool.
But yeah. Now there's some really cool people around, and I tell people this all the time, I was like, it's a small world. It gets smaller and smaller. Like, it's weird sometimes where I know this person who knew that person, and then it's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been experiencing it from a industry standpoint, and like the amount of times on Raw. So we did 3 Raw tours in 2022, and like, so Raw has been around for over 20 years. Has had 2 top 10 songs. Has had placements into movies. Has billions of streams. Like, achieved so much, and like that's awesome. And I acknowledge that I'm not even remotely close to that. But when I would play shows, sometimes at the meet and greets, like, people would, Fear of Water fans would come to shows and want to talk to me, and like, just like, that meant so much to me that there were people who have been following me from like, me making music in my apartment 10 years ago, building a social community around that, and like, starting to up my game and everything. Like, the fact that they're people out, strangers out there, but music fans who've been along the ride for me and then are out in the real world seeing me perform and like seeing me with incredible band like Raw, just like it means the absolute world to me. Like it's just so incredible.
No, that's awesome. I completely understand that. Not on that level, of course, but
Right.
I had somebody tell me the other day, they said, "Hey, guess what? Somebody told me that there's this really cool band." And they're like, "Hey, you should watch this video. They were on a podcast recently. Check it out." And this person is a friend of mine, by the way. And it was mine. And I was like, "Hey, it's the first time that's ever happened." That's the scale.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, nice.
You have people coming to shows. I have somebody who's like, "Hey, I know a band, and they were on this podcast, and it was just random, and that person happened to know me." I just think it's funny.
Yeah. Very
But
cool.
so I kind of get it. Like on
For
a
sure.
like to me, that was like, okay, I've made it.
I mean, that's community though. Like that's the whole point. Like shared interest. Like we all have our differences, but then like the shared love for something, and then like the connections that can come from that. I love that. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Desiree asked, "What is the story behind the name?" I know I'm asking a billion pointless questions, not pointless questions, and I think it's probably the whole point of having a live chat during a conversation is so you can acknowledge
It really is. That's
Otherwise,
the entire
it'd be
point.
weird if the peasants are talking over here in the chat section. I'm gonna just ignore that. Yeah. So
I'd be like, you guys talk about cheese, okay? And we don't want to see anything about us. You just talk about cheese, and we'll be over here, talking about the important stuff. Go sit at the kid table.
Exactly. Exactly. Fear Water is when I first started making music, and I knew from the beginning that I was going to be. I'm going to summarize my entire life story in a very, very, very short way. I was born extensively damaged hearing. So I was what is considered clinically deaf and had to go through. I didn't start talking until I was almost 7. I had to go through extensive surgeries, medications, and years of speech therapy. And part of this therapy included music. And I had major cognitive deficiencies due to not being able to by the time I was speaking, kids are learning cursive. So like you can imagine how much behind I was from everyone else because I basically missed out on the most formative, like educational and formative years of a human's existence. And music therapy was such a huge part of like unlocking my cognitive abilities that once I got over that initial hurdle and once I formed a relationship with one instrument, which initially was piano, and I was like, holy shit, like I get this, like I understand how to like communicate with this tool. I just became obsessed and dedicated. I've probably literally dedicated tens of thousands of hours of my life to expanding my understanding of music and my relationship with musical instruments and always striving to go to the next level. And but when I got to the point of being so comfortable with like playing music and understanding the creative vehicle that music is, and I was like, I'm going to start creating music as opposed to like playing Nirvana songs. It was important to me to focus on like what is something that is like omnipresent in my life that I can't get away from, that'll obviously be a source of inspiration for my writing. And at the time, and this is in my like late teens, and I am in my 30s, and it's like not changed at all, is that especially in Western culture and especially in American culture, the absolute need, because of our friends, because of the media, because of, fashion and entertainment industry, whatever, like the need to conform and this driving force of like, I can't be myself. I can't let my freak fly because of the fear of like being accepted by the masses or what is considered popular or cool or sexy. Do I have the right body type? Am I wearing the right thing? Am I listening to the right music? Am I hanging out with the right people? Do I believe the right things? Do I say the right things? Anything like that's such a driving force in our country. And for me, it's incredibly disheartening to see people suppress who they really are instead of leaning into it at the possible risk of like having a smaller social circle or something like that. And I think life is way too short to not be your true self, instead of, in lieu of being like, oh, I understand that this is what more people are doing, so I'm going to, even if I know what I believe or what I love or what I feel, I'm just going to push all that way down and just the mainstream. So fear of water is a reference to, the literal sense that we're like 80+%, and it's like, it's the fear of like acknowledging the thing that you're actually made up of. And in because you feel all of these societal pressures to do what is accepted, because being accepted, it makes you feel better and it helps you sleep at night, whatever. I don't blame people for doing it. I just wish our entire lives weren't dictated by stuff like that. And that can happen on a micro scale of like what you do with your best friends, or the type of company that you work for, what your wardrobe is, or the type of music that you listen to, or like the drugs that you do or don't do, or who you have sex with, or whatever. Like so much of this is determined by pressures and influences and opinions other than your own. So much of what I write about is rejecting that and accepting the consequences. It's not the consequence, just living in your own skin and being yourself. It's just a much better way to spend the short time that we have on Earth than doing what you think everyone else wants you to do. So that's where the name comes from. Oh, what the hell? People are applauding. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was profound and really well articulated, to be completely honest. And I mean, I'm just going to ask, because are you still have hearing issues? Or is that something that got, like, you had surgery or something? Or
yeah, it was multiple surgeries, multiple, like, actually for a long time was on this medication that at the time was FDA approved, and then basically got proven, like, all medications, vaccines, whatever, take time to show long-term impacts, both good and bad.
correct.
And the medication that I got put on over time showed that it had a large enough percentage of risk that it got discontinued by the FDA, and the risk was that it was like deteriorating material in like people's spinal discs, like basically it was like destroying cartilage and softer tissues in their body. Fortunately, not the way it showed up in me. Like I have like soft fingernails and like cavity prone teeth, which is way better than like having your spinal discs fucked up. But to be totally honest, I'd rather be paralyzed and be able to hear than be able-bodied and have no hearing. So the hearing issues that I do have now is it's almost like overcorrected in the way that like when you get LASIK surgery for a long time, the normal healthy vision is 20. You can have like 2010s like that for a while when you get your eyes corrected.
Right.
There are certain sounds like guitar feedback on stage, or like if I'm in a car and an ambulance goes by, literally creates physical pain in my body, where it's like it's such a visceral, violent like assault on my eardrums that I can't handle it. So a lot of times I'll just like I've never at a show without hearing protection, but even in normal day life, I walk around with like noise canceling earbuds, and there's just like I'm very serious about protecting my ears, and also just don't want to like shit and sometimes just like incredibly loud.
No, I completely understand. I mean, I was just curious because, I mean, it's an amazing story to, you would never guess that, that's where your start was.
Yep.
But I think it's a really good message to put out there, because, be you, you're the only one who can. I can't stand, like I said, I have a teenager. I have one that's 19 now, and I have one that's 17, and I have an 8-year-old. So,
yep.
The obsession with conforming to other people's what's cool, what's not cool, especially now. It was bad enough when we were growing up, but man, especially now, because the things that people are thinking are cool or uncool go directly against a lot of, people's core values or moral values, depending on their upbringing or the parents or, the community and stuff like that. And to have children think that they are never going to succeed unless they conform to these usually unobtainable ideals. It's not just, I'm going to use this stupid word, I'm going to do this stupid dance, like, when did dancing turn into like one half of a move and then they call it something new? Like, when did that happen? I mean, I know we had the cha-cha, right? We had like the electric slide, the boot scoot boogie and stuff. Right. But when is it like you move your hand and like this? And that there's a whole dance. Oh, we're doing the dance. What
Yeah,
the hell? Sorry, small tangent there, but
All good.
that's not as harmful as people who demean themselves because it's required in
Yeah.
any capacity, in any context. I'm not talking about anything specific. There's a million examples out there, and they're not just the ones that are the most prominent and in the news and all over the place. The most obvious, let's just say. There's a million other ones, whether it be size, shape, the way you speak, what you say, what you allow, what you listen to, what's cool, what's not cool. If you're uncomfortable with lyrics that are really sexually crazy, but you're going to sing along with it because your friends are, because it's cool, right?
Yep.
Stuff like people wear, whether it be, what they're going to study in school because it's what they're told they should. Things that they support based on the fact that it's cool to support them instead of the fact that they actually are supporting them.
Right.
Like all of those things, it is such a big deal now. And what's funny is that the youth is completely engaged in this. Well, everybody's doing it. If you jump off a bridge, if they jump off a bridge, you're going to do it too type mentality.
Right.
But they're forgetting that the initial, wherever this, whatever it was, this one dance move, right? Somebody makes a dance move, they slap a label on it. And then they put it in a 15-second video and it goes viral. And then everybody's like, they make something big out of it, right? This huge movement. Now everybody's doing it.
Right.
This one person was trying to go viral, and they succeeded. You are now basing your life and your choices on something that literally doesn't matter.
Right.
Did you know recently? This is a fun one. Recently,
I'm sorry, real quick. I really have to pee.
No, go.
Can we hang for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be right back. Sorry about that, but continue this right when I get back.
I'll talk to people in the chat. Show Rock, I see you. Dorinda. Hey, I didn't say I didn't like the Tootsie Roll. I don't remember how to do it. But, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I don't like Tootsie Rolls, if that's what you're talking about. Or when I dip, you dip, we dip. Oh, my God. Or the Macarena. Okay, that was like, we made fun of that way back when. The Macarena, we made fun of it because it was like, okay, well, you're just like, that's it. It was nothing. It wasn't a dance. A dance was like a routine. And now it's like a half step. Swing your arm over here, wiggle your hip, and that's your whole dance. It's ridiculous. I have to look something up so that I'm referring to it properly. I know what it's called now. I remember. Yep, I found it. You're sending me a video of what, Ben? Soldier Boy. Oh, yeah, see. That's what I'm saying. Watch me whip. I don't even know if I'm doing it right. Never mind. I'll give up. Man. And then they do the floss thing, and I still can't figure that out because apparently I'm not coordinated at all. By the way, while I have you guys here at this moment, I don't know who's calling me right now. Hold on. Decline. While I have you here at this moment, make sure that you go check out his channel. Go check out the music. Give it a listen. Even if it's for 5, 10, 15 seconds, like he said, he thinks that if you can listen to it for 15 seconds and if you like it or don't like it, that works for him. If you do, give him a subscribe. Like the video. Would appreciate it. He's doing some really cool stuff. Super talented person. I'm lucky to have caught him while he's in between tours because you heard Monday he's going right back out again. So I had to try and catch him before he took off again. And now I'm sliding off my chair. Do y'all see that? I'm getting closer and closer to the mic like this. There we go. I was literally back against my chair, and then I've just slowly been like sliding. Appreciate it, you guys. Appreciate it, because I've been watching him for a minute. Not a hugely long time, not like years and years and years, but been watching what he's putting out there, and I really like what he's doing. I think he's got some real good stuff going on. How about no? Do what I tell you, Mark. Stop arguing. What the hell? Dizel? What is that? Did you just make that up? Or is that a thing? Do I need to learn a new thing? I hope not. Hey, welcome back.
Sorry about that. You cut to a commercial or something, right?
Yeah. No, actually what I did is I went and I looked up what I was going to tell you to back up what I was saying, because I wanted to get the word right.
Hit me.
This was an example, and of course we're still talking about people conforming to what people think that people want them to do.
Standards. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. This is just a fun one. So, do you know what it's called when you were growing up, right? You'd go through your day and your parents were there, right?
Yep.
All right. So let's say that you wanted to go read a book. You would go read a book, right?
Correct.
Okay. Did your parents come read your book with you? I'm not talking about reading a bedtime story. I'm talking about...
No.
Okay.
What I'm doing in my free time? No.
Yeah, me either. Did you go play in the yard, like the backyard?
Yep.
Did they come with you and, like, follow you?
No.
Okay.
No.
So, this lady writes this article. It's called... I looked it up to make sure I got it right.
Let's see it.
Sitterizing. So it says sitterizing is the latest parenting trend because it's genius. What is sitterizing? Supervising your kids from a seated position instead of always engaging play with them. It encourages the parents to sit back and watch them from a safe distance. Okay, so what this is telling me is that apparently parents nowadays, their kids are playing with something, they're down there on the floor at all times that their kids are playing. Because the article goes on to explain how people need a break, from this helicopter parenting and stuff, and that's like the thing.
Right.
And I'm like, so you made up a word to describe telling your kid go find something to do. Literally, you made up a word.
Right.
And it's trending. It's this huge thing, and people are like, they're commenting, they're joining this movement, y'all. It's a movement. What does that tell you? Like, people were obsessively hovering. I didn't do that, so whoops, I missed that one. I didn't sit on the floor with them. I was like, here's toys, bye. Put the baby gate up. I'm like, have fun, check for sharp objects and, small pieces of things, and that's it. Apparently I missed the movement where everybody was supposed to, like, be a child with the child at all times, because I would have gone crazy. Right. So now they're calling just being a parent as a new movement. They slapped a label on it, and now people are getting on board, and I'm like, and you wonder why there's a problem. You wonder why people think that they have to do things a certain way. They have someone hovering over their shoulder constantly telling them, this is how you do it, this is what you do it, this is holding their hand. So then they get online, what are their expectation? Is that someone's going to tell them what to do. Show them what needs to happen every moment with every situation. Yeah. And then we wonder why they're doing stupid crap that just because people say to.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to maybe seem super out of left field, but like I see this as... So no comment on other people's, faith systems or whatever. I'm an atheist and have been for the vast majority of my life. And I see a parallel between what you're talking about and, like, I have a personal objection to a criticism of atheism a lot is like these people support like chaos and lawlessness because they don't believe in a higher power. And I see it in the flip of like if the primary or only reason that you are being what is considered a good person is because of the consequences, like the afterlife eternal consequences of judgment and damnation, you're being a good person for very wrong reasons. And just the fact that it is coming from the wrong place kind of disqualifies you as a good person, because you always have the capacity in that sense to do bad things as long as you feel like it adheres to the code that you've subscribed to. So anyone can be subscribed to any faith they want, but that's the same thing for me as in terms of like, you don't need a label to be a parent and do good, normal, common sense parenting. That doesn't need to be a trend. It needs to be like, oh, because there's this blogger that I follow says thing. And I feel very similarly about like the sense of normal human behavior and decency and passion and empathy. You do not need a list of 10 commandments or various testaments or a Quran, whatever. Like, we are all well established at this point that we're living in tribes, and like we know what human decency is. We know how we want to be treated. We know what compassion is. And like, if you are a good person and happen to be, have faith or be deeply religious, that's great. But those two things shouldn't, like the Venn diagram of those shouldn't have a ton of crossover. Like, a good person, the reward of being a good person is just the joy of like treating humans decent and treating people the way that you would like to be treated. Is more than enough. It doesn't have to matter if you get fucking brownies for it, or it has a label associated with it, or a trend, or it's a movement, or it's a community. Just like decency is decency, compassion is compassion, empathy is empathy, and just doing it just because you know that you should do it. Like, that's my whole thing. If it's parenting, if it's your lifestyles, your sexual orientation, it's religion or lack thereof, whatever. It's just like, I think we all know at the end of the day what we should and should not be doing in terms of just like the most basic human decency and self-love goes, and everything else is a choice. Everything else is a layer that you put on top of that, and you can make as many layers as you want. But just, I don't think anyone should be doing that core level foundational shit because of one of the layers that you put on, because I'm a part of this community, or because I was told by this religious leader, or this blogger, or this someone on the radio, someone on TV, someone I subscribe to told me that the thing that I really want to do is actually wrong, gross, or disgusting, or misguided. Yeah, that's just what the whole thing is rooted in, that for sure.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from. I really do. And because when they're following the rules, not because they agree or believe or are in line with them, right? So if I give you a rule that I'm absolutely against, right, then I'm following it because I have to. It's not because I've made that choice as a decent human fucking being. Like, that's the difference. Right. You're not making the choice because you want to be a good person. You're making the choice because if you don't, this is what happens. Now, that's how you teach children. You teach them, you guide them to a point of, a moral compass and, that basic core values of, you don't hurt people and you don't be hateful to people, and you share and you love people and you're nice and you don't let people screw with you. However, you have some compassion. Like, that's what parents should do, is teach their children those core values. So when they get past that stage, they're capable of making decisions based on how they would handle that type of a situation, whether it be personally, what they, the golden rule, do unto others, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But take away the rules, the hope would be they would still make those same positive choices, right?
Right.
So
right.
here's devil's advocate on that one. Just curious, because you're also talking about people who haven't figured out that they can be a raging asshole, get away with it, and treat people like crap. Now, for people who refuse to treat people well, for people who do it to the point of, I'm talking about like damaging. I'm not talking about, like, you can go sit in your room and talk shit all you want, but if you're actually damaging someone's reputation, someone's going online, doxing somebody, stuff like that, there's got to be rules in place in that capacity, because if you can't make the right choices, ultimately there's got to be some level of, can't think of the word, regulation, to the point where like, look, you do whatever the hell you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else until you hit this level. Once you hit this level, then as a society, we've come up with these things that said, look, you can't do that because that's wrong. And if you're too stupid to figure it out, it's wrong yourself, then we're going to tell you. Yeah. And that's where the consequences come in. So, but
Have you seen the documentary called "Don't Fuck with Cats"?
no, but it sounds like something I should.
You should. It's on Netflix, and it is about like so. It just takes such a curve that you wouldn't expect, but like it starts with there was a guy, anonymous as so many people are on social media, who would post video of him torturing cats on YouTube. And would get tons of views because certain people are like into it, and other people like, this is so awful, I need to watch it. And he would like put him in a pillowcase and like whip him around, and then like throw him a shower and turn on cold water and like film it, and he's like Mikely laughing and stuff. And there was this whole community. So like that is illegal. Like abusing creatures is illegal, period. But
Right.
because it's an anonymous social channel, and there's no way of identifying this person, tough shit. Authority, like these videos were put to the authorities. Yeah, Mark Anderson said he's seen that, surprisingly enjoyed it. Me too. The videos are, they're basically like, I can't do anything. So this like fucking group of internet vigilantes gets together and go like super sleuth on this, and they break down the video. There's like 10 videos because this guy is a fuck and does it a lot. And then the things that they're able to do from these videos in terms of like, all right, pause it at 1 minute and 43 seconds. When he turns to go to the bathroom, you can see out his front window. And then they're able to like, okay, there's these landmarks out here. You can zoom and be like, look at his mail on the table right here. They were able to look at a blanket, like a Bob Marley type blanket that was pinned to the wall, and then able to figure out who sold that. And then they were able to figure out that like, oh, they actually sell that much, and they only serve this area, like in this state or whatever. So basically through this like internet detective, after the cops are like, hey, we can't do anything, these people are able to like hone in on this person. And you might think that like, oh, it just stops there. Like we were able to find this person who kills cats. It turns out that this guy killed people. And then for fun, he posts these fucking cat videos. And like detectives, like all authorities, both local and international, just kept being like, oh, I don't know what to do. Let's just, and my point is, and it relates to this, is that there was this group of people with no finance incentive, no fucking, this gets them into heaven, no whatever. Just they band together because there's just this global understanding of what is right and what is wrong. There are some variations within there, but like creating suffering among the weak, anything is unacceptable. Period. I don't give a shit where you're from, what you believe, whatever. Don't fuck with cats is a very apt for this. So these people, total strangers, band together to track down this guy, and in the process of track down, start unveiling all these other things about this international psychopath who has these multiple personas and has murdered people and like dismembered them, and like this gets so fucking crazy. And they do end up capturing this guy, but it's specifically because of this group of people that got together and said, for no other reason other than it's the right thing to do, that we are going to dedicate our time, money, and resources to stopping it. And I feel like that's and it was interesting enough that it obviously got, documented and turned into this documentary. But like all of life should be like that. Like there's just this like base level of that we all need to understand, regardless of what you believe, where you live, who your parents are, what church you go to or don't. So there's just like this base level of like human decency. And to your point, like I do feel like without any sort of overlord, without any sort of like that just the combination of the general societal understanding of what is right and what is wrong. And then I firmly believe in the easiest thing to call it is karma, but I'm not saying that in like a Hinduistic beliefs. Like I have seen countless times in my life the people who put good out into the world, good come back to them. And I have absolutely and very satisfactorily seen those who put bad out into the world had come back to them. Like I don't know how to quantify or specifically describe it, but like I do firmly believe that is a force in the universe. You reap what you sow. So that can, with general society being on the same page, like what is good and what is bad in the foundational sense. Like hurting children is bad, period. Like there is no disagreement there, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter who you are, where you're, whatever. So like that kind of stuff is what gives me as much terrible shit that's going out there in the world, how many awful people there are, like knowing that there are the foundational things that don't require consequence or reward for subscribing to is enough for me to have that faith in the future of like people.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from. I really do. However, I feel like mob mentality, or that inherent need, like there are leaders and there are sheep. It's that simple. And there are people that need somebody to guide them. They want that and they gravitate towards that. I'm not saying it's everybody. I'm not saying it's actually more people than the leader qualities. It just is what it is. However, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that society as a whole knows what the hell to do. They know what's right and wrong, and inherently know what's right and wrong, and that we don't necessarily need it to be a straight set of, just for conversation's sake, like rules in place, because somebody's gonna get them.
Agreed.
Right. That am I getting that right? Like that's what you're saying? Because
100%. Maybe it doesn't happen as soon as you want it to, or as soon as it should, and that person is able to hurt other people in the meantime. But like, I think if you're able to, like, we're never going to be able to do this, but if you could look at the entire scope of cosmic justice, just the way that shit plays out in the course of human lifespans, and we're able to add up all of the awfulness, certainly in modern history. I mean, God, barbaric things happened before, like, modern civilization, but it's like, if you look at good versus bad and in the broadest scope possible, I do truly believe that good wins out. But unfortunately, a lot of bad happens along.
I think that I don't know how to put this, that it's not going to come off in a negative way. That's not how I mean it. So hear me out what I'm trying to say versus what I'm going to say. I feel like the majority of people would do well. They wouldn't stand on someone to get ahead. They wouldn't destroy someone else just because. They wouldn't take from other people. I feel like that's the majority of people would be like that. My problem is the people that aren't in the majority, those people who fuck shit up. The problem is when you have the majority of the people who kind of go to the standard of like, look, we're all going to kind of mush along and do what we need to do and be good people. And then you have these assholes who are like, okay, cool. I'm going to stick you over here and you're going to do what I tell you. And you're not going to be mean, violent, and destructive, but I am. And you don't want me to be mean, violent, and destructive to you and your family, so you're going to do what I say. And see, that's where you get dictators and...
Life is not fair. Like, that is the overwhelming, overarching thing for sure. So, like, I have to counter what I said about cosmic justice against, like, life absolutely is not fair, ever.
True.
And yeah, those two things have to be balanced out. Desiree was saying, like, you shouldn't kill people because hurting people is not good if the law is what is stopping you. Totally agree. Like, if you're the type of person that doesn't do any crime, let alone like heinous shit, solely because there are existing laws and then the associated consequences, if that's the thing stopping you from doing it, you're not a good person. That's just is what it is. Like, that's and I truly believe that there are much more people who don't fucking murder in their daily life or ever, because it's just such a universal truth of, like, self-defense. That's one thing. Like, there's obviously, that's not murder. Like, just straight up murder by definition is not happening on this massive wide scale because of the law. It's because of human decency and what we across all these cultures, across 10,000 miles of global space, across all these different religions or whatever. There's just this general ubiquitous understanding of, like, human decency, and that gives me still so much awful shit that happens, but, like, at the end of the day, I try to focus on that stuff.
No, I get it, and I appreciate you going into that with me, because I understand what you're saying, and just for transparency's sake, I am definitely sincerely a Christian. I am not a go to church on every Sunday and read my Bible morning, noon, and night type Christian. I'm also not somebody who throws everything in people's faces, and probably if I was going by the laws and rules that dictate where I'm ending up, I know where I'm going. But, point is that I understand completely what you're saying. And though I'm a little bit more wishing that we had some of the rules that we had a decade or two ago in place, because for some reason it's really weird how that, and when I think about it, actually, it wasn't like a law rule. There were rules, like societal rules, right? There were things you just didn't fucking do. You just didn't do it. And that has gone away. Like I said, people are obsessively without consequences. They can say whatever they want. You say, let's take this outside. That's a big difference. Right? But now I wish that some of the inherent it's the same thing as like what's cool, what's not cool. Like it's not cool to break into somebody's house, y'all. Like that's not cool. Making a trend of it on TikTok is definitely not cool. So can we go back to the whole you don't mess with people's stuff, you know? I mean,
yeah.
Even like I understand do who and what you want to do. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm talking about, it doesn't matter, orientation. I don't care about that. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I'm talking about go boink anybody you want. Right? Don't boink anybody who cannot make that choice. Don't boink kids and animals. Okay?
Yep.
Preferably don't boink the couch. Or I mean, if that's what you do you. But stop. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see. And just because you, not you, but people want to
yeah.
boink, I don't want to see it. So if you want to dress in a way that shows off in detail your jiggly bits, feel free. I don't want to see it. I shouldn't have to. You know what I'm saying? So there's like that thin line where I want people to be comfortable, but I think there's like a general consensus that I would rather everybody kind of wear t-shirt and shorts than I would rather everyone in a bikini and Speedo. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's more of a preference than what is right and what is wrong. And I think ubiquity of, it's just the like ever-present nature of social media has like changed a lot in terms of like there's a difference between you seeing it go to the grocery store and you seeing it every single time you open up Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
I'll take it on Facebook versus the grocery store, man. That's the thing, though.
Of course. Yeah.
That's another issue. I have an 8-year-old. My other kids are older. They can do what they want, you know? Don't wear that in my house, but, you know, I don't need to see your jiggly bits either. You know? It's my body. I don't know it's not. I made it. If you're in my house, no. Well, you go out there, just don't like let them see you looking like that coming from this house. I don't want them to think that I let you out of the house like that kind of thing. But that's like a parent thing. But like my 8-year-old doesn't need to go to the grocery store with me and see somebody with their jiggly bits hanging out. Right? So because you're in a space where there are people who don't need to see that shit, I think that people should respect that. I think so. I also think that they should do what they feel like they need to do, but just don't do it in front of me. I'm not doing mine in front of you, you know? I could, but I'm not. You're welcome, guys.
Yeah, I mean that's we start to get into the very like nebulous nature of 8 billion people sharing a planet and getting into like there's the like core foundational hardcore shit that we were talking about. And then you start going way deeper into like decency and then other people's opinions of like what is decent and what is not, what is societally acceptable, what is not. I totally agree with you. Like that's how shit gets complicated and difficult. Totally understand and empathize with your desire to keep your children safe from
right. And that's the thing.
That sounds them. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing though, and I think my point was more along the lines of just showing how deep it can go, because I think, and here's where it gets hinky, because I think that I'm being a decent person when I don't walk around naked in my neighborhood. I think that that's the right thing to do. I think that's good, right? Nobody told me that can't. Well, I mean, technically there are laws against it, but no one has told me like you can't. I just thought, probably doesn't need to happen, right? People wouldn't really appreciate that much, right? So I choose not to do that, with or without a rule or law above me dictating what I can and cannot do. Now, if there is one, that's great because I'm not doing it anyway. My point is that other people might see it differently, right? And so then you get into that, like you were saying, that whole thing of, I mean, I'm not in in a tribe in Africa where they literally have like an animal skin, a loincloth, and like a bone lip, and are proud of it, and they're going out there fighting for food for their family, and hunting and stuff. They don't have a problem with that. To them it's weird if I walk up with all my clothes on. Do you know what I'm saying? So you can't have global either. It's just
I
gotta,
get that.
that's
I
why
would
you
keep in
said
the context
tribes,
of also
though.
that like in our own country, not even 100 years ago, definitely not even 100 years ago, the idea of a woman wearing a bathing suit that exposed like anything other than like ankles was incredibly indecent. Women were wearing
True.
pants for the longest time. It's like, men wear pants. What are you doing? Like the idea of like what is decent, especially when it comes to female attire, or female anything, because unfortunately certainly just not our country, but our country's a good example of it. Women's ability to vote, own property, have a mortgage, have a credit card, just to be an independent individual that isn't owned by their husband, everything like that. Like that has been a very sliding scale of what is considered acceptable and decent and accepted and like the societal norm. So I really truly, I'm not pushing back. I truly do understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. As someone that is not a parent, I probably have different views and opinions and expectations on my grocery store experience, for example, than you do. But as the entire thing of like, we live in a country of almost 400 million people, and you are going to have mishmash of like, a lot of us have very different opinions about like what is decent, what's acceptable, what's not, and like and that really is just like what life is for us. And the thing that I find solace is that there's you, and then there's the individual who thinks that they can like have their dicking out in the produce section. But the thing that I find solace in is that they're, in the vast majority of cases, you do have this central foundation thing of like, neither of you are going to stab the cashier. Like that's, you got to take good where you can get it.
That was literally a mic drop moment right there. I'm gonna clip that later. Like, you go from one extreme, which I mean, mine wasn't even that extreme. Mine's just like the important parts. Just like tuck those in. I don't need to be able to see your childbearing ability from a distance, but I'm just saying, literally going from cover yourself up in public, because there's kids there, that kind of thing, to the opposite end where dick swinging in the produce section, but nobody's going to stab the cashier.
Right.
Because ultimately we value human life.
Right.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't. After that, I can't. That's it. You broke me. I'm sorry. That was epic.
I'm happy to contribute.
That was awesome. I'm writing down the time.
That's the preview for the episode.
Stab the cashier. No, this is going on Reels. This is going on YouTube Shorts. Are you kidding me?
Boom.
Oh my god. That was awesome. No,
I don't know if it's something you want to get into, but so Desiree just brought up. But on public property, not store and business places, free speech, freedom of expression. Well, then also said everyone should be naked. That's a whole nother.
Well, okay, I get that, but here's the thing. I'm not saying. See, then you can get into this other part of it, which is like, okay, so we've come so far in a certain amount of time, in 100 years, right? We've come so far, leaps and bounds, technology, moral code, the way that we handle things, independence, freedoms, all of this stuff, right? After thousands of years, in the last 100 years, we have fucked shit up. We've gone like, full blast towards, this end goal of ultimately being the best people that we can be, in whatever capacity that comes out in. However, does anyone not see that if we keep going at this exponential rate, when are we going to hit the point where everyone just do whatever the you want and screw everyone else? No one cares. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, almost over the top on the other side of that hill. Like, you get to the top of the hill and you go running down the other side. Like, but on a decline, right? Or do you think that AI is just going to take over by that time? We don't have to worry about it. I mean, it might not be our problem.
I've seen some very concerning shit with AI recently. Like, there was the Lensa thing, which I also contributed to. Like, it's cool to see. It's, what I'm talking about, Lensa.
Oh yeah.
We're like, yeah. So it's one thing to be like, here's a picture of me, alter it with XYZ factor, like here's a selfie, turn it into a Van Gogh impressionistic version of that. That's one thing. It's another thing to be like, there are these, that same technology can be like create something out of nothing, where it's like, I want to see a monkey in space riding a rainbow with 2 middle fingers, and it can do that. And that is aligned with like deep fakes of being able to like put someone's, you know, celebrity's face on your own face as you see some like horrific shit and be like, oh, look what fucking
It's
Bentley
creepy as hell.
and then also the newest thing that's circulating right now, which doesn't seem as creepy, is this like text bot. Basically this AI where you write a story about Dave Perry, who is from Wisconsin, lives in Texas, and is in multiple rock bands, and it'll give you like 10 paragraphs of absolute bullshit that sounds relatively real, because it does machine learning based on what humans have already. All of those things combined is very concerning for the future.
Very concerning.
Everything from like just replacing the jobs of like actual creatives, people who have spent their entire life and different skill set and passion becoming talented writers and artists and web designers and everything like that, all the way to like it literally redefine what we consider to be reality.
No, I completely agree, because at what point in time when will it get to the point where one of the people in the chat is actually a bot that's doing that, and they're just basing what their comments are based on what other people are saying and things like that, and it just, after a little while, it just kind of is, I don't know if you're real, I don't know if you're a real person.
Any like you have Verizon for your cell service and you have a question, go to their website. They have an AI chat bot that like knows, it's a math equation. Like, okay, someone said cell reception and battery life, and it triggers the responses. Like, it's in its most simplistic sense, that's where we're at, and we're going way fuck off to like it's really creative. In fact, I think the worst example so far is that like there's a team out that's literally developing AI that makes music. Like, why? Like, why? What possible purpose could there be? These are probably incredibly smart, talented, gifted, accomplished people, and you're dedicating that skill set not advancing the betterment of the human race, but to figure out an automized, clinical, sterile way to release art. What are you fucking doing? Like there, so you can look at AI music Nirvana. There's a team that did this art that basically this computer listens to every Nirvana song remade, and then it just makes a Nirvana song. It's like the idea of that in our lifetime, or really any lifetime, being where music comes from is like nauseatingly depressing. That's so fucking lame. I hate that. I hate that there's talented, educated individual teams that are like working on this. This is something that's like organically bubbling to the surface as an aggregate, like other people's activities. There's like a fucking science team in a lab somewhere that's working on making the computer with AI that creates music. And it's like, why the fuck are you doing that? Like, I hate that.
I agree. And to be honest, like, I mean, to get real sci-fi about it, to have anything that is capable of producing something that could mimic me as a person and a human being, right, is scary as hell. We already volunteer to give our faces, our fingerprints, and everything. And people are like, oh, I've never been fingerprinted. You ever had a phone that unlocked with your finger? You think they don't got your fingerprint? Give me a break. So exactly. We volunteer our pictures. We take our selfies constantly. They know where you could. You don't even have to have a GPS. Everybody can do what they did for that video, and they can see where you're at because you're taking pictures. Not you. You know what I'm saying? People are taking pictures and they're posting them online for everybody, right? We're already giving them everything that they need, and then people hear about deepfakes. Oh, I don't know if that's true. If that's true, give me a break. You can't. And I'm surprised that the outrage hasn't happened. I was shocked that these apps came out and no one lost their ever-loving mind. Because how many times have people said, oh, no, they can't do that. Oh, that's not, you can't do that. And it was like a sci-fi concept to have these deep fakes where it wasn't really them. But in all intents and purposes, it looks just like them. It's facial recognition. Once you use facial recognition to do all of these things, right? Government, law, all of this stuff, location, there's a lot of creepy stuff. Once you can manipulate the face to the point where you literally can turn someone into somebody else, like a face-off situation, but not without the surgery, right?
Right.
Your hand and we're allowing this. We're volunteering to have this technology out there that can do this. And we say, but we're just going to post selfies with it. I'm sure nobody is going to use this for their own nefarious purposes. This is going to all be on the up and up, and we're just going to make cute selfies and post them online because that's what it's for. That's not true.
It's scary for sure.
But the artistry, I do have a really close friend who is a huge proponent against the AI art because she is an artist herself. And a lot of the artists that I do know I didn't know they were doing it with music. That makes sense when you said it.
Yep.
I didn't know anybody was actually doing it yet. But when it comes to the art, it's like, that's their creative brain. If you can just, it's cheaper to go to the computer and just type in words and then say, look, I made a picture.
Right.
There's a difference between, you're not creating it. You're not choosing the colors. You're not choosing the landscape. You're not, drawing the trees. You're not deciding if the leaves are there or if they're on the ground, if it's fall or spring, all that stuff. So all that creativity, you don't have to be creative anymore to create art.
Right.
So then what are artists? They're obsolete.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the Lensa stuff is like, it is not that the AI is not creating imagery out of nothing. It literally is scanning millions, if not billions, of pieces of existing art, and then pulling elements of that and making these aggregates that into the thing that you specifically requested. So,
which technically is, but people are voluntarily putting all of their stuff online, accessible.
For sure. So that's the thing. So like what you were saying about the deep fakes and that, and I know that you were just speaking in generalities, but you said no one was making a big deal out of it. But the thing is that the volume of the people who are entertained by it compared to the volume of people who are concerned by it will almost always outweigh the holy shit, this is amazing, I want to do it. Me is almost 100% time going to outweigh the this has serious societal implications and repercussions and we should pay attention to them. This AI art generator is actually stealing from independent artists without giving any credit or monetization. That's the most dangerous part of this slippery slope that we're on. And just
especially
the idea of
writing too.
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
what,
for sure.
What if it tells me that I texted somebody this thing and I'm like, no, I didn't? Well, it sounds just like you.
Darnell McGee's, call it a chat GPT. That's what this thing called right now. You could literally go there and you can even go there and be like, write a song. It doesn't give you music, but it's like verse, chorus, bridge. You can be like, write a song about, living with your ex-girlfriend on Venus. And it'll do it instantly, 2 seconds later. It'll be 47 lines of rhyming, song structured things. It's why is anyone dedicating their time to advance this technology? It does nothing to better society, those in need, addressing unsolved problems. There's so much that we deal with in our country alone, let alone on a global level, that the fact that there are so many people who, spent tens, if not $100,000 on their education and use their general intellect that they have developed and grown up with, and to apply it to so fucking meaningless, not meaningless, but it's so easy to see the how far this can go and how bad it is. It's very just upsetting. It's why are you doing that? What, don't you want to feel good about your contribution to society and the way that you're applying your genius? Why are you doing it in such a stupid way? There's so many better things that you can be doing this for. It's fucked up.
Well, personally, I just kind of wonder. I guess my thing is more actively creating something that is going to hurt people, in a group of people, artists and stuff like that. Now, I know that that's not necessarily the intention, but it's possible, and they know that now. They know that it's capable, and also the idiots who think that no one's ever going to use this for negative purposes. That's stupid. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. That if anybody actually is well, this is really cool, no one would ever take this and use this in a negative way.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Wait till you start seeing the teenagers that are putting their snap a picture of a classmate, right? And they stick it into a picture. They overlay. I know you can Photoshop, but I'm talking real good ones, because y'all see them. You know what I'm talking about. and then turn around, right, and say, oh no, look what this person was doing. They posted all over the internet. They posted all up on the paper in the school. This kid gets bullied and laughed at, and it wasn't even them. They weren't even there. They didn't even know what you're talking about. And you think that's not going to happen? It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just, it's scary. You know, it's bad enough that people get away with things with no consequences. To be able to now put their stupidity onto somebody else with no requirement of the other person inputting anything into it. Like, you could take my picture here. You could fake my face into something and say that I wasn't actually here on this podcast. What I was doing was I was down at 7-Eleven or something, you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It gets, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I'm looking at the comments here. Darnell has a lot to share, which I appreciate. There's so many ways to use Chat GPT that will not be harmful for us. I totally agree that that's not the point. The point is that there's nothing stops us or those who are developing it or those who stand to gain from it from pushing it beyond the levels that don't hurt other people. The most basic and easiest way to actually see the harm is that so I come from the advertising world. There will absolutely be ad agencies or brands that don't want to hire people who will be like, okay, I'm a secure defense firm. I need 10 blog posts a month out the value of home security. Chat GPT, write these articles, and therefore someone doesn't have a job, or multiple people don't have a job. And like the idea of replacing actual human contributions, because a computer can do it. And again, it's all lies when you do it. Like, it's total bullshit. It just does a really good job of polishing that turd to sound genuine. That's the whole reason we're even talking about it in the first place, is that it does it good enough that it seems all. So it's really, really easy to not only see the potential harm it could do, but knowing human nature when it comes to like greed and whatnot, pushing it up to the limits of hurting one. It's absolutely going to happen unless there's some sort of like really substantial consequence that stops us from doing it.
I see that you say everything correct has a digital footprint. Let me just put it this way. I don't know if you were what context you were meaning that in, but I'm going to put it in a context that it hit me. There are some things that, let's just say you have it write out a letter, and the letter is supposed to sound like it came from this person giving you permission to do this, or the other. Let's just say a permission letter for something, or a recommendation from a job. Ooh, that's a good one.
A doctor's note that has
right, or a doctor's note,
or something that a contract that's notarized, or something like that.
Right, and so you get it to write it, and it makes sense. They use all the right terminology, all the right phrasing, all that stuff, right? And you print it. I don't care what your digital, because I'm thinking more like blockchain, how it has like you can trace it if it's online, like you can trace down in the metadata, all that stuff. You print it and you hand it in. What are they going to do about that? It was written. Like, you just see what I'm saying? It's no longer. It's not on the digital platform anymore. It's now gotten even further out there. So I don't see why anyone would need that. That's what I can't figure out. I don't know why anyone would need something that can mimic writing for humans.
Right.
I mean, hey, have the conversation with my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, there is no actual need. It just comes out of greed or a desire to be lazy, or nothing good drives our motivation to use something like that. But there's plenty of that type of motivation to drive us to use it. You're
going to not hire somebody to do your marketing or to write up your marketing. I think, okay, if you're going to spam me with stupid ads that I have to sit there and like bypass or get stuck reading, then you should pay to have someone write it for you.
Agreed.
If I have to pay you money because I saw your ad, you want people to give you money, but you don't want to pay anything to come up with creative content. Like, to me, no, I get that the printer has a digital footprint. I understand that most printers, I understand that if I was a CSI forensic tech and you printed it off, they could check the paper and they could see that there is a random ink blot, like upside down, sideways. They could see where it came from. They could go to my computer. They could find where I did it. That's not the point. My point is, I don't see the purpose. I know a lot of authors. To think they have a hard enough time getting their stuff out there. There's millions of books. What about kids getting a hold of it? You get one kid who's smart enough to be quiet, right?
Yep.
They're writing everybody's term papers and making bank. Do you know what I'm saying? But you can't plagiarize. But the AI, then you don't have to worry about plagiarism. But I already learned that they don't have to learn anything. They just get it to answer for them. I can get the negative reasons to use this type of stuff. I can't find the positives.
Yeah, I totally get it.
I mean, but that's an opinion, you guys. I know that some people are real into it. I understand it. I appreciate it. However, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be on the side of the artists, because I know too many creative people that work really, really hard, right? Really, really hard. Darnell, I know that you weren't like fighting with me. I'm just saying. I know people that work really, really hard and are proud, and I'm super proud of what they do. It's original artwork. My logo, where is it? Up there in the corner, the Elsewhere logo, and all of my merch. My friend that's an artist, I paid her for the rights to all of this. I own it.
Yeah.
It was her creative content, and I bought it from her. She custom made it for me, and then I paid her, so I have all of the rights, because she deserved to be paid for what she did. I mean, I could have gone to a logo maker, but I didn't, and there's a reason. So if you guys kind of see where I'm going with that.
Yeah, totally. 100%.
See, and I see that, Darnell, and I understand it, but I mean, there's a lot of parts of it that I'm sure I don't understand. There's automated processes like, hey, AI, could you write the script that it needs in order to build an HTML page that is ideal for posting, updates to a feed?
There's not a lot stopping us in general from taking that same technology and getting it
Exactly.
to the point where it's so far beyond. It can still be helpful while doing a ton of really negative shit. Like, both of those things can exist. It's concerning that it's being developed to that point.
And accessible.
Yeah.
It's accessible in an easy to use context for people that don't need it and shouldn't have it, especially kids. Do not let my kids get that shit. I don't need that. Yeah, look, Mom, I was really at my friend's house. No, you weren't. You were 7 miles down the road at a party.
Yeah.
But no, here you are with your friends because, you can do all that. I'm just saying. There's a lot of... That was a fun tangent, by the way. That was a nice rabbit hole.
Wow. I think on that note, that's a place to wrap it up. I mean, we've covered quite a lot of ground. We're at 2.5 hours now. So
no, absolutely. I appreciate you sticking longer, man. I've had a blast.
I love chopping it up. I love to talk. I actually really do enjoy. I've done a lot of podcasts. I've done with a live response before, so that's cool. I like engaging on that level as well. It's fun. No, it really can be. I mean, I know that. Happy anniversary. That's very cool. I mean, 1 year. Keep it going. Yeah, 1 year today. That was very cool. I'm pretty proud of it. Happy to be anniversary guest. Very cool. No, but I appreciate you taking the time. I know that you've got so much going on. I know that you've just going onwards and upwards, and you know it too. You're aware. You know where your trajectory is going. I'm very excited about this year and the future. Yes. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you being here. Chat, I appreciate you guys hanging in with us and going down these rabbit holes and having these conversations. Please check out the description. Go check out his channel. Listen, like I always say this, listen to 1-2 songs. Just check them out. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, subscribe to him. Drop a like, drop a comment, help him out. Follow him on Instagram, do all that fun stuff, because he's going to be going all over the place on tour. He posts the coolest pictures when he's on tour. It's ridiculous. Like, they are cool. So I can't explain it any other way. Give me a follow. Fear Water. Come join me. Let's do it. Yeah, pretty easy to find. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Dave, thank you again for taking the time. Thank you very much. We're going to get out of here because we are right at that point. You have anything else? I'm all good. All right, we're all good. You guys have a good night. Bye, guys.
Yeah. We living over here. Look at the way we moving, saying she with it. Everybody. It's time to make it move. Trying to get it wet. I have you licking fluid, and if it's money, it'll be